G'day guys, Jared from Iron Edge here. I'm standing with our flagship model, the Matrix, and there's been a few replicas pop up in the marketplace of late that have been really shonky attempts at ripping it off, and we realise a lot of you buy these products sight unseen. You do rely on our information on our website, on photos and videos to pick the differences, and can quite often be swayed by a 5 to 10% difference in price. So really important that we now run you through a few of the differences and realise that 5 to 10%, the difference between going and buying a 10-year-old Holden Commodore and a brand new Porsche. So let's run you through them. Alright, so we've got a structure that is entirely made in Australia here. There is no compromises made in its construction. It's made from Australian steel, made in our own factory, in-house at Iron Edge. So what we've got is something that's an absolute of minimum 4mm steel anywhere on the structure, which means it's bulletproof and we can back it up with a lifetime guarantee. No holds barred. It is the best unit you can possibly get. It's the strongest, it's the most durable. If you can break it in 10 years' time, we'll replace it. Same goes for 20 years' time. Now, you've basically got 4mm steel the entire way through the uprights and cross beams, and in the most crucial parts we've got 10mm steel in the fixing points, so in all brackets, and most importantly the base plates. Now this is a really important one that we were almost embarrassed for the competition what they came up with in trying to save costs on this. This base plate is welded 100% solid. What you'll find is this base plate is actually bolted to the upright. So when you've got that happening, what you find is that by the time there's the slightest amount of movement down the bottom, there may only be 2 or 3mm of movement allowed by the bolts. That translates, by the time you get right up to the top of the upright, once you're 2.4 metres off the ground, or worst case scenario, if you've got an extension on your bridge, which is possible, up to the 3 metre mark, you've got a lot of sway in the unit and a lot of movement. And it creates for an extremely unstable product to begin with when it's straight out of the box, let alone in a few years' time once these Dynabolts in the ground are able to work a little bit loose. Alright, really importantly, we've got every single hole in our matrix, and every single cut, every join is all done by laser. So it's controlled by computer and there's no room for error. Again, no compromises made whatsoever. Every cut is consistent, there's no sharp burrs, there's no sharp edges, there's a perfect finish on every single hole and every single join. Also importantly, it means every third hole we can have a small indentation made. So when you're joining up your J-cups on either side, it's as easy as picking out, sliding it in, and you don't then need to come over to this side, count from the bottom up or the top down to see where you are. You can quite literally see that there is, bang, that join, you've got them nice and flush and even. Alright, it's really important to point out the different technologies that are used in the cutting process when creating the Matrix as opposed to the other ones that have popped up in the market. Now, we have this made 100% by laser. So every hole that is cut in the Matrix, every plate that is cut, every shard of steel, everything to do with this is 100% laser cut, which means there's absolutely no room for error. It's controlled by computer and there's absolutely no compromises in its construction. What you will find with other ones on the market is because they're made very cheaply overseas, they don't have the dough for the laser cutting. They use a punch, so they'll quite literally manually get a punch onto the steel. Because it's a thinner steel, they can punch through it with a hammer and that punch. And what you find is that ends up leaving an indentation as it pushes the steel in, creating not only a really poor appearance but a much weaker structure at the end of the day, as all of that steel is out of joint in between each hole the entire way up and down. We have a really nice matte finish powder coat on this, so as opposed to really poor paint that is on other ones in the marketplace, which means as soon as we pull out a J-cup, pull it back in. With the other ones on the market, it's not a matter of in 12 months time that it's going to have marks, scratches, chips and all the rest of it. It's quite literally the very first time you do it. With this matte powder coat, it's extremely durable. We've had this structure in our showroom for going on 9 months now. It's been pulled up, put down, gone to 2 trade shows with us. It's almost flawless. It's still in basically brand new condition. Also, really importantly on that powder coat versus paint, what you've got is your chin bars. You've got a really nice grippy texture. You can work chalk into it. It gives you a hell of a lot of texture to grip onto, especially once you get a lot of sweat, once you're deeply into your workout. That sweat in your hands becomes very slippery. So that's really working to your advantage as opposed to a gloss finish paint. You'll find that it becomes extremely slippery very quickly. When we work right up to the top of the matrix, you'll notice that we've got the option for 2 different height chin bars. So what you can actually do is have 2 opposing chin bars on these sides that come down at the 225 centimetre mark off the ground, which is a really good height for a lot of female clients or a lot of shorter clients, and then the ability to have 2 opposing right up the top of the matrix at 240 centimetres off the ground, which means for a bloke like myself, being a stock standard 6 foot 80 kilo guy, I'm at a dead hang and there's nothing stopping me over the top. So if you're going to do really aggressive style kipping pull-ups, you're going to be able to work over the top. You're not going to have to worry about knocking your head off. If you're lucky enough to have a studio or facility that you can link matrices together via a bridge system to hang your TRXs or your Olympic rings or suspension training equipment, we, as opposed to having fixed heights, we've got a system that you can modify to exactly what you need. So you can have a chin bar right down at the 180 or the 220 or the 240 right up to the 3 metre mark. Now, we've only got a 2.7 metre roof in our showroom here, so unfortunately we can't illustrate exactly what the 3 metre bridge looks like for you, but you can have it anywhere between that 3 metre mark right down to the 2.4, or if you really wanted to, you could flip this upside down and have it right down at, say the 180 or 190 mark. So whether you want it for chin-ups or you want it right up high for doing muscle-ups on Olympic rings, got it covered. Alright, we all know how expensive barbells and bumper plates are, the pride of a lot of gyms. You can spend thousands upon thousands of dollars and they should last a long period of time. Now what you find with a lot of J-cups out there, when you're racking a bar back down, all of that pressure, you might have just done a 200 plus kilo squat, all of that pressure is placed onto those 2 small 100 millimetre areas. So your knurling is getting pressed extremely hard down into these J-cups. What you find if you've just got a solid steel J-cup is over time your knurling gets worn down, and that's okay for squatting, but you'll find as soon as you get that barbell for snatch work and you go for that wider grip, you're actually going to find out that your knurling's uneven, it's grinded in. So what we've actually got is polyethylene coatings on both the J-cups, and if you do miss a lift and have to come down and rely on the spotting arms, even if it hits them extremely hard, it's the polyethylene that takes the brunt of the force as opposed to the knurling on the barbell. So your barbells are going to stay like brand new. The durability increases tenfold, and look, your expensive bars are going to last a hell of a lot longer, and you're going to get a lot more enjoyment out of them by their knurling not being all marked up. Alright, so there you have it, guys. The Matrix is something that we're extremely proud of. We've spent countless hours researching and developing it, making prototype after prototype until we had it absolutely down pat to create the product that it is today. So it is made without compromise. It's polar opposite from anything out there in the market. It's just an absolute spot-on unit that we're extremely proud of. So before you fork out your hard-earned, make sure you really look into the quality of the piece that you're buying, and better yet, come in and check it out in our showroom at Iron Edge. If that's not possible, feel free to give us a call anytime. Myself, Josh, Rick and Will are always here to give you a hand. Thanks, guys.